It's that time of year again, and whether you're buying a present for someone else or for yourself.
For me? How'd you know?
I wanted to give you a quick no bullcrap guide to buying the stones you actually need and nothing you don't. I hope this video takes the mystery out of purchasing the correct sharpening stones and grits. Basically, I don't want to just sell you stuff. I want to make sure you get what you actually need. So let's get started. Now, the first stone on the list is going to be a plated diamond stone. This is the first stone you should buy, period. This is primarily going to be used for profiling that initial edge and what the vast majority of the sharpening work will be completed with. These plated stones are the workhorses of the sharpening stone world. Now, there's absolutely no need for any other type of stone at these coarser grits. These plated stones do everything every other stone will do, and they do it faster and better. And in many cases, a quality plated diamond stone like this Sharpball 325-1200 grit can be a one and done stone if you combine it with an appropriate strop. Now, you absolutely can buy cheaper plated diamond stones like this one here for around $20, but in my experience, these $20 stones tend to suffer a lot more from grit contamination issues on the finer side, which can absolutely give you problems down the line if you're looking for further edge refinement than about 300 to 400 grit. To recap, buy quality plated diamond stones first, either a dual grit 325-1200 grit like this Sharpball here, or single-sided stones in the 300 grit range and 1000 grit range. Stick to quality plated stones in these grit ranges for your first stone or stones. They will do absolutely everything you need them to do as fast and easy as possible. Now, the second stone I buy is going to be largely dependent on what types of knives that you're sharpening. If you're sharpening a lot of larger kitchen knives, chef's knives, etc., I'm going to have to stick with the Shapton KUROMAKU 2000 grit. Now, the Shapton KUROMAKU line are ceramic stones and have absolutely no problem sharpening high hardness, high performance steels, or any other type of steel for that matter. That's off of the Shapton 2000 grit KUROMAKU and a 6 micron Strop. The 2000 grit is a great finishing stone for just about everything and every purpose, especially if you're on a budget and sharpen larger knives. Now, with that being said, if you are sharpening smaller folders, already have some sharpening skill, and constantly finding yourself sharpening very high hardness, high carbide content steels, steel like Rex 121, S110V, Rex 45, CPM M4, PM 60, etc., I would look into some sort of bonded diamond stone. I would buy something like the Gendy 6 micron resin bonded diamond stone as a second stone, or any other type of bonded stone in the 3000 grit range. These stones have no problems refining the scratches off of a true 1200 grit plated stone. Ceramic stones like the KUROMAKU 2000 will sharpen any steel, but they are not super efficient cutters with certain steels. CPM M4 comes to mind, and can make them more time consuming to use even given the size differences between these stones. Now, the reality is that this setup right here will do absolutely everything that anyone would ever want to do with a knife. Combining this setup with a 6 and 1 micron Strop will get you hair whittling edges on just about anything. Now, there are other stones out there that will serve the same purposes as the stones mentioned here. What's important to understand is that under about 1000 grit, a quality plated diamond stone is going to be the absolute best option. Now, if you go above 1000 grit, depending on the types of knives that you're sharpening and what your budget is going to be dependent on which direction you go. Very high hardness, high performance steels stick to diamond. And most likely, if you're paying a lot of money for those high performance knives, you won't mind the higher price tag associated with bonded diamond stones. Now, also, understanding grit progression is a very important part of saving you money. A 220 grit to 400 grit or a coarser profiling stone, a 1000 grit medium stone, which is on the other side here, and a 2000 grit to 3000 grit fine stone is proper progression. You don't need anything in between these grits. So essentially a coarse, a medium, and a fine grit is what you want. Now, if you do want to go finer than this, then by all means, go ahead. Just realize that there is a point of diminishing returns, and that 2 to 3000 grit range is about that point. Also, I want to jump in here and say that we are not talking about straight razors here. We are talking about knives that cut stuff not on your body. I know that probably sounds weird. The reality is that freehand sharpening is mostly skill. It is not necessarily the gear. Proper gear is important, but you can waste a lot of money buying something that you think will make your knife sharper, but in reality, you just need to sharpen your skill set. Now, to answer a question I get all the time is, can you buy a cheap $20 profiling stone like I have here and then go the 1000 grit KUROMAKU or glass stone route rather than something like the Sharpall dual grit plated stones? And the answer is absolutely yes, but I'd still stick to the flow chart here to help guide your decision. The KUROMAKU 1000 will last longer than something like a plated 1000 grit will, simply due to the nature in which the plated stones are made and wear out. But don't let that stop you from buying the correct stones for your knives in the first place. Now, there's all different kinds of stones out there, and there's nothing wrong with experimenting with different stones and finding what you like to use best, since different stones will feel different and offer different feedback and user experience depending on what you're doing. So there is a place for all of the other stuff out there. Just realize that if you're just getting started, the skill set is primarily the limiting factor. Now that's it. It's literally that simple. You don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on stones in order to get reasonable results, in order to get great results across the board. Now we will talk about strops in an upcoming video, and in my opinion, that's a little bit more of an important area to focus on than the stones themselves. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll see you then.